Power of reading has made an impact on a number of groups of people, actually, pupils. So from beginners to English, to children with English as additional language, those children with SEND needs, reluctant writers, those children who write through a stream of consciousness and just write and write and write. It's made an impact on all of them, and they all produce quality writing. But I'm particularly passionate about children who sometimes feel othered in a class. So those SEND children, those EAL children, those beginners to English, where work is normally adapted for them or changed, or they have different work sometimes in the past. But with Power of Reading, because it's such a the tasks are such like low threshold, high ceiling tasks, everyone can access them, and everyone feels like they participate, and everyone feels the same.
And one of the best bits about Power of Reading is because you're covering a full book, you've got to read that full book. So if I go back to the extracts that we did before, you'd probably do a 3-week teaching sequence, and you're looking at an extract of maybe 4 paragraphs long. So when you reflect back on that, the children must have been thoroughly bored by the end of week 1 and into week 2 of we're looking at the same thing. So the thing you get here is, along with all the immersion and the writing opportunities, etc., you hear the book. And for children who we have children in school who are with us, refugee families again, who are with us for a short space of time. They speak a first language other than English. Some children throughout school speak multiple languages. So again, what the Power of Reading does is it opens them up to, again, all of those themes and opportunities to learn about different types of stories and non-fiction and poetry, but you're constantly sharing books and reading aloud to pupils. It's the reading aloud aspect that we think for our children who can't access the decoding aspect, but they can access the book and have an opportunity to immerse and discuss and role play and be those characters that's essential to our children here.
Previously, you might have said, we're going to write a diary entry as so-and-so from a book. And they're a bit like, oh, right, they struggle with ideas. Whereas because of all the work that comes before it in the teaching sequence, they can bring out some amazing ideas, and it has a massive impact on the writing that they will do. And within the teaching sequence, you've got the drama aspect, where they can shine. We had a young girl that she really got into character, and it gave her that chance to shine, whereas in a standard old school literacy lesson she wouldn't have had that moment, and she'll have resigned herself to think, well, I'm not good at literacy. Whereas this opens up an avenue for all children to be able to be included in the lesson and enjoy it and make that progress that we hope for them to achieve and get the best out of them.
We did Tom's Midnight Garden, and we looked at Tom saw, for the first time, he saw the garden, and that lesson we immediately kind of did some activities around that, some role play activities and some imagination activities around that, and then children wrote a letter from Tom's viewpoint to his brother Peter immediately. They didn't have to plan it, there wasn't a success criteria, and then they were just quite happy just to get on with it. So there was no stress of, right, you need to get this writing done, and this is the success criteria, and you must include this, and there must be a fronted adverbial, and I want to check your handwriting. And because that pressure wasn't there, they wrote the most beautiful letters with a lot of great detail in, and that was just within the 1 hour of literacy we did.
Power of Reading scheme has really benefited our early EAL children and our new to English children, because it is very visual. They don't just sit down and listen to the stories. It's all about getting involved, having that sort of first-hand experience. They have the opportunity to role play, and we understand that through rhymes, through storytelling, the children are able to pick up key vocabulary and language. And then that also allows them to have a sort of imagination that will help them to then write stories as well. We link all the books to all areas of provision, so it helps to support understanding. It's put into context for the children to develop a deeper understanding of key themes and vocabulary throughout the books.
So we had a child who's left us a couple of years ago now. I think maybe she'll be in year 8, and she joined with no language whatsoever, joined us in year 2, so she was a late starter. And she, throughout her time here, engaged with books in a way that was quite phenomenal to watch, really. So her language wasn't even particularly strong in her own language, so it wasn't like her English was poor. She just didn't have good language skills. And when she moved through 4 years of Key Stage 2, she was a wonderful, wonderful little girl, I have to throw in, and she worked tirelessly. But through 4 years of power of reading and by immersing in books, I mean, she actually passed the SATs at the end. She passed the tests, like, you know, the sort of year 6 SATs test. But beyond that, it was hard to describe a child that you were looking at 11 years old compared to what she was at 7 years old. And all of that really came through books, through the opportunity to talk about books, hear stories. I can remember having a conversation in my office. I've got a photograph of it on the website somewhere. We took a lovely picture of her holding the book. And this was in year 5 when she was here. And she knew that book inside and out, and she was using language associated with the book. She had subject-specific language related to that book and was able to then use it in a sort of a social, conversational type of way. So for somebody like her, she'd stick in the memory that when she left, you know, she don't get me wrong, she worked very, very hard, but it was a perfect example of how a real commitment to a book-based curriculum can have a massive impact.
So the children have been really excited, really enthusiastic to learn about Astro Girl. We have got a huge roleplay area, which is a spacecraft. We have really embedded and really taught the children the correct terminology to use spacecraft instead of using rocket. We've been doing a lot of research, investigating what astronauts do, they're scientists and the different jobs, and it's been really lovely for the children to have that sort of experience because they don't have a lot of experience or a lot of social skills or life skills. So giving them the opportunity has been really good, bringing the story to life.
I am genuinely passionate about power of reading. It's one of the best schemes I've ever used in my 16 years of teaching, and it is because it has such a profound impact on all pupils.